forget about is we forget about the roots and we forget about the seed. And
so this was a video done by Do Something, and then I really like the analogy she's creating. She's like, encouraging people to get out there and vote. And people may feel like they're a tree, and that trees don't change; they always stay the same. But trees can change. If you change the roots or you change the trunk of the tree by changing legislature and changing the people that are in office and things, you can actually influence or change the way that tree grows. And I do like that analogy, but I would even take it one step further with people. I'm going to take it one step further by saying that first let me state this. Well, if we have a seed, and I can take that seed and I can sprout it and put it in my yard, and I can give it plenty of water and the right minerals and let it get plenty of sunshine, that tree can grow up and it can live to be 100 years old, and it could be a great tree. But if I take that same seed and I started off by helping it sprout, but then I put it in a shoebox and I put it at the top of my closet, well, it'll never grow. It is just going to wither and die. And the problem is that a lot of people have that wither and die type mentality because they have this learned helplessness, because they never get the right soil, they never get the right minerals, they never get the right amount of sun, they never get the right amount of water. And those would be all the systems that influence a person's behaviors and ideas on a day-to-day basis. I would say that people have this, they live under this cloud of learned helplessness, so they can never get enough sun to really grow the way that they're able to grow. And yes, we can change the trunk and change the branches and help people grow into a beautiful tree by voting and doing those things. But first, the things that we have to do is we have to start working on healing some of the generational trauma that has occurred. Because keep in mind, people, the 1960s where civil rights was not that long ago. There's a lady that works for us that was alive during segregation, and a lot of people have stories about that stuff. And that lady, she had learned to behave and act a certain kind of way around white folks, and I'm sure she had passed some of those learned behaviors on to her children, and so on and so forth, right? And that's some of that generational trauma that has to be healed. And this is like that cloud of learned helplessness again, where the tree will never grow if it doesn't have the right foundation, right? So yes, I want people to get out there, and I want people to vote and things, and I want them to change their roots, and I want them to change their trunk, and therefore they will change the kind of tree that they become. But however, as a good steward of the earth and the garden, or which is like an analogy for saying for us to be a good community, we have to recognize and realize that not everybody starts from the same starting point. A lot of people were put in a shoebox at the top of a closet with this learned helplessness, or the idea that voting doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do to change my circumstance. And we had to change this kind of thought process, not just with voting, but with many other things, how we look at things, how we approach things, how we approach life, for people to really become successful. It's you just will never become successful if you don't believe that you can become successful, right? And you'll never go out there and vote and think you can change anything if you don't believe that first. And I think we all have a responsibility and an obligation to really pay things forward, you know what I'm saying, and provide some of that mineral and water and things that seed is going to need to actually be able to grow, even start the foundational root structure. Yeah, I want all the systems to change, but I'm hoping that we can change what's going on internally first, you know what I mean? Because if we don't do that, those people will never be motivated to go vote or change anything. They'll settle for whatever poor soil that they're in, right? Just like their granny settled for the projects, and their mom settled for the projects, and they settle for the projects, and it's just this perpetual thing that keeps going on indefinitely, And I know that I hope it's midnight. I hope it didn't sound crazy, but I dig the direction she was going. But I also think there's some more fundamental, foundational elements that must occur before a person would be able to even think about changing their roots or changing their trunk, which would allow them to become the biggest, best tree that they could become. And we, as like the gardeners of our world, of our planet, of our community, we have to start that initiative and idea by paying things forward and normalizing treatment and normalizing certain behaviors and things in our communities. But all right, that's enough for tonight. I'll holler at y'all.